Hello, dear friends. We are in a crucial week for the development of world events. Opinion piece. Domino Effect. Chain reaction. First domino. Reports the New York Post. One moon in Virgo. Time is passing too quickly. Are we coming to the end? Davos went too fast. 40 countries want the gold standard. George Soros has disappeared. Philippines ordered Bill Gates arrested. The real rulers are invisible. Everything is progressing as planned. There are 180 currencies circulating in 197 countries. The goal is to level the world's playing field. Let's start. Domino effect, chain reaction, or snowball effect is the cumulative effect produced when one event causes a chain of other similar events. It occurs when a small change causes a similar change next to it, which in turn causes another similar change, and so on in a linear sequence. It is so named by analogy with the falling of a row of dominoes placed in a vertical position. The domino effect can also refer to a chain of non-material events. According to Benjamin Fulford, the collapse of the financial system seems imminent, with Credit Suisse as the first likely domino. If it falls, it would trigger a process that would lead to the collapse of multiple major banks. According to the New York Post, a bank run is underway at Credit Suisse, as clients withdraw $120 billion last month alone, and sensitive personal information has been compromised. Credit Suisse is a global systematically important bank headquartered in Zurich, maintains office in the world's major financial centers, and is one of 9 global banks. It was one of the least affected banks during the global financial crisis, but then began to reduce its investment business, making redundancies and cutting costs. The bank was at the center of multiple international tax evasion investigations that culminated in a guilty plea and the forfeiture of $2.6 billion in fines between 2008 and 2012. The group employs some 47,170 people worldwide. Repercussions. Because all banks lend to the same people, if one bank fails and withdraws its loans, then borrowers cannot repay other loans either, bringing down the whole system. Other famous banks are insolvent and have active bankruptcy proceedings, but this is hidden from the public. Despite the attempt to hide this, bits and pieces are leaking out. This is expected to bring down the Swiss group and its control over the G7 countries and several states. The big question is, where is all the physical gold that the Swiss have stored in their vaults for over 50 years? So far, they have refused to comply with legitimate requests to return Chinese or Japanese imperial gold. The Swiss financial centers, Geneva and Zurich in particular, are among the world's leading and most competitive financial centers. The Swiss Federal Institute in Zurich published a study entitled "The Global Corporate Control Network," which shows that the world is run by a small consortium of companies, mainly banks. Just 147 corporations forming a super entity control 40% of the world's wealth. These mega corporations are at the center of the world economy. Bankruptcies in Sweden soared in February for the 7th month in a row amid falling household consumption and pressure on construction companies due to a crisis in the housing market. Peter Schiff believes that all roads lead to higher inflation and hard landing. No one can stop more than 40 countries wanting a return to the gold standard. More than 40 countries. According to Judy Bington, all Tier 1 banks have received the source codes and are preparing to make exchanges after addressing certain security issues. After the QFS is in full swing, it will change the role of banks from using their money to make their own, to being service centers for the population. You can't put fresh corn in the barn until you get all the rodents out of the way. There are a lot of safety issues involved that can't be explained. Frank 26 says we are coming to the end. There are things going on behind the scenes. The banking side is convinced that it will happen at any moment. According to Walking Stick, the monetary reform process is happening right now. Ramadan starts on 22nd March. They said the aim was to start during Ramadan. George Soros has disappeared. He was supposed to attend a conference on his recent work on African education and didn't arrive. According to the Telegraph, the BBC conspired in the scare that kept Britain on lockdown. According to Justice Felix Frankfurter, the real rulers are invisible and exercise power behind the scenes. Rumors of war. The G20 showed that the West is betting on war. War warning by an alleged time traveler from 2049. Turkey could reject the patches of F-16s from the US and replace them with Russian-made ones. China intensifies its diplomatic activity following the expansion of its roles in the global arena. According to Sorjafal, the UK Ministry of Defence published a document entitled Tales of Tomorrow, exploring new technologies through useful fiction, in which it tells futuristic tales such as the Russians stole biological enhancement technology for soldiers from the British Ministry of Defence. USA. According to Sorjafal, the US faces a historic deadly choice of losing the world to save itself. The people in charge of the Biden administration announced that government control of internet content is now part of the national security apparatus. According to the X22 report, Trump announces that the economy is about to change and that we are going to make a quantum leap in the way we live. Everything is in motion and we are moving towards a new economy. A Philippine court issued an international arrest warrant for Bill Gates. A homeless grandmother in Ireland has been sentenced to 16 weeks in jail for entering a hotel that houses only Ukrainian refugees. Opinions. The full moon today, March 7th, is called the warm moon in Virgo and can produce symptoms of extreme energy. It matches Saturn's entrance into Pisces. There is no turning back. This is the end game, and there is a quantum leap in lifestyle. The brainwashing has been broken, and as we go down this path, more and more people will awaken. According to Anne and the Angels, the Creator moves the stars into perfect orbits, organizes entire ecosystems, inspires the cells of your body to maintain balance, and, if you become receptive to its desires, will inspire you on a joyous path to your fulfillment. Transformation. The war for the dollar is over, according to Tom Luongo. The Davos plan was quite obvious. Hand over the keys to capital formation to the central banks and destroy all risk assessment. This is what Christine Lagarde wants with her new European Green Stock Exchange that she presented in Ankara last week. But what is clear now is that Davos went too fast to prom night. It is too soon, and the acceleration is exposing its flanks. According to Crow Rising, the world is falling apart, and ours is being built. Their world is based on bankrupt ideologies. Ours is rooted in the truth about freedom and reality. Your world can only look back to the glory days. Their world, I mean. Ours looks to the future we are building for ourselves. According to Poet Talk, those dedicated to the execution of evil upon others often reach a form of compulsive autophagy. The ship of perversity has been rocketing in recent years and has spread in so many directions that it will soon sink by the laws of physics. The circus of monsters will come to an end in the broadest sense. Cosmic comments by Bennett Ross. Everything that enters your reality is based on previous frequencies, because you keep reprinting the same codes. Frequencies not only have a resonance, but also a code of numbers and specific geometries. You change them with actions, thoughts, and emotions. Synchronicity comes from how you reprint your emotions and thoughts. You want to turn a negative into positive, but the frequency must be powerful to create a new momentum. Progress. Puff said, "We can assure you again that everything is progressing and everything is happening in due time. The players are risking a little bit everything, but then they have to do it because that is the agenda of this game. We are helping those who help themselves. The stagnation that has held back has been lifted. Everything is progressing as planned, although not at the pace promised. That is the question." Puffness Office Weekly Report. To understand how and why a global financial reset is unavoidable, we must look at global currency activity. What we are seeing in global activity is the integration of separate currencies within regions into unified currencies. A notable example of this is the adoption of the euro. As of 2023, 20 countries in Europe use the euro instead of their local currency. 8 West African countries since 1945 use a common currency called CFA, franc. It means French colonies in Africa. 6 other Central African countries have adopted the CFA franc. The CFA stands for the African Financial Community. It was renamed ECO in 2019 and linked to the euro, but implementation was delayed until 2027. In 2008, Central American nations agreed to create a single currency for the region, but this has not yet happened. In January 2023, Brazil and Argentina announced plans to begin work on a common currency, which they could invite other Ibero-American countries to join. You see the same currency behavior in Asia, Asia Minor, the Middle East, and the Slavic nations. This same concept of a unified currency takes place in different sectors of the world. The benefits of doing this make it easier to compare prices and make it cheaper and safer for companies to buy and sell within their area. The disadvantage is that an indebted country can no longer devalue its own currency to make goods more attractive to buyers in other countries. There are 180 currencies in the world, circulating in 197 countries. The top 10 currencies, which are traded daily, cover 90% of the world's currency usage, with the dollar accounting for more than 50% of the 90%. By unifying currencies, by sector, it strengthens their demand and decreases the dependence on foreign currency in their respective nations' economies, thus eliminating foreign manipulation and influence in their sovereign affairs. The global financial reset only has to affect a portion of the 180 currencies to be implemented. The aim is to level the playing field for the cost of goods and services, and to secure a nation's sovereignty. It will reduce the need for a country to overprint its currency and destroy its own economy. The financial collapse of any nation's economy has knock-on effects globally. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.